Ms. Fischbach.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I absolutely agree. We have to be the ones that speak out. It's tragic that we have to have this hearing. It's absolutely tragic. It is 2024, and this should not be happening, and it is appalling. And so you can see as I was listening to Mr. Schneider, I'm getting more and more upset, but I did want to kind of refocus. I know that Mr. Fitzpatrick talked a little bit about FJP and SJP has been mentioned a couple of times. And so I wanted to ask Mr. Marcus, you're obviously familiar with the group. Would you mind telling us a little bit more about the group and maybe the role that it's been playing in this explosion of anti-Semitism on campuses?
Congresswoman Fischbach, yes. There is no one single group that's responsible for this entire problem. There are many groups involved, and then there are many wrongdoers who are not part of groups, but SJP is involved far more than any other single individual on many, many campuses, not just in protest, but in various forms of hate as well. On some campuses, their violation of rules or undermining of values has led to their temporary or permanent suspension or expulsion, but they are still active on a large number of universities. They're also active as law students for Justice in Palestine, and now they're also faculty for Justice in Palestine as well. These groups, in addition to having been found responsible for violations of university rules and for their involvement in issues that may create a hostile environment for Jewish students, the toolbook for the national SJP says, among other things, and I'll quote, "We as Palestinian students in exile are part of this movement," meaning the resistance movement, "not merely in solidarity with this movement. We must act as part of this movement." Now, the resistance movement is often understood to include Hamas, known also as the Islamic Resistance Movement. So when an organization of students who says that they are not merely in solidarity, but that they are part of this movement, it raises the question of how they, as an organization, are relating to a U.S. State Department designated terrorist organization and doing it actively on campuses around the United States.
Thank you very much. And Professor, maybe you want to add, and Ms. Dora, I'm going to ask you too, if the response and the evidence we've seen, how did the universities respond to, did they take sufficient or proper response to those organizations?
I can speak about a lot of universities, but the best one that I can is my own, Columbia. Nothing. They have written beautiful emails. It took the president of the university 6 months minus 2 days to acknowledge that Hamas exists. So I've been pleading for them to condemn Hamas. They wouldn't even use the word Hamas in any official email until April 5th, and that was because she was subpoenaed to testify in front of Congress. So if it takes the president of a quote-unquote elite, not elite, but expensive university, to even acknowledge that Hamas is responsible for this, then I'm not surprised, and you shouldn't be surprised, that she and her administration have done absolutely nothing.
Thank you.
I think something worth noting is the double standard. All other groups are subject to policy enforcement, and Students for Justice in Palestine and hate groups on my campus are not. Fraternity Brothers most recently received firm disciplinary action for drinking beer in a backyard with a permit. The Students for Justice in Palestine group had an unauthorized encampment, ruined our entire quad, the entire lawn needed to be redone, and did not receive any actual enforcement on that. In fact, they received complete immunity and a thank you letter from our university.
Well, and I just want to say thank you all for being here, and thank you for standing up, because you're doing something courageous by being here too. And I appreciate it, and I, for one, I will say, I will stand with you, because this is, it's appalling that we are dealing with this in 2024, and I thank you for being here, and with that, I yield back.